Yo, 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 yo. There was a time, you know, the enemy came in full force at me. He tried everything to get me down, but I stayed strong like uh like Job, we all gonna have that moment like Job or like Jonah, you know, in the belly of the fish. My moment, I remember texting my sister. I'm like, sister, I'm going through it. But I know I know God gonna get me through. The Most High gonna get me through. And indeed, He got me through. But during that time, there was a time that I saw myself, I saw myself, as a soldier, which I am. I am a soldier of the Lord, Jesus Christ. I saw myself in a corner, because, that's what the enemy does. Satan will get you against the wall and hoping for you to break or fall. So I saw myself against the wall, and the wall was coming at me with all these things. It was throwing, shooting at me. It was, like doing all this thing, but I saw myself still standing. It's like I was just against the wall. The wall was throwing at me. It was throwing rocks. It was doing everything, but I saw myself standing. I was just standing there because the Most High is willing. I'm like, this is the Lord's willing. I'm like, Jesus, no matter what I go through, you know, I will be still standing. I was, and then I saw myself. I'm like, when the enemy puts you against the wall, the Lord, because the Lord is a way maker. He's gonna make a door where there seem no way. So I saw myself against the wall, and I saw the wall coming at me with like bayonets. They coming at me with all this weapon, and I saw myself like bruised. I saw like bruises on me, but I was still standing. Like it's like I saw myself immortal. That's what we are. We are immortal in Christ. We don't die. Christian don't die. So, you know, I was against the wall. I was taking hits, and it reminded me of that movie, The Rocket. If y'all seen Rocket before, it talks about it's not about how many times you get hit. It's about how many times you get back up. It's not about if you box, you know you may get beat down so much, but if you keep getting back up before that count, it's count before the what's it called, the ref count to 10. If you get back up and you square up, you can still go on. That's the same thing too. And sometimes it's that you need to let you gotta get hit before you advance. You have to get you need to be willing. You have to be able to take the hit because remember, Jesus took the hit for humanity, and what happened after that? He rose on the third day, and kabam on the devil's head. The devil got his judgment right there. He got judged. He got his judgment right after the Lord resurrected on the third day. That's the same thing too. Let the enemy hit you, cause I was like literally on this wall. You see this wall right here? I was like in the corner of the wall, and me as a foreigner, from Africa, no sense in no, good, like good linkage of family here. I'm a foreigner, you could call me like a foreign student, whatever you call, but I was in a place where I couldn't literally go to a grandma so all of my family were like 5,000 miles away, but I know the Lord was gonna keep me. I had my back on the wall, and I saw the world having its guns. They had weapons against me. It was throwing everything. I saw holes on me, but I was still standing. And I was like, the Lord is going to make a way for me. He's going to open up a door behind me. And that's how I saw it. And then eventually, his work showed a proof in my life. And the Lord is so marvelous. And then that the devil will come in and he's gonna still try to anything. He's gonna try to make you seem like you're a weak person. But I look in my life, I've been through a lot. I've been through so much that and I was going to high school. When I was going to school, people thought I was living a normal life, but outside school I was living a different life. You know, it's like I always seem positive. People used to tell me, Paulo, you used to always smile, Paulo. Or you always, you seem to be always happy because this is who I am. Through my trials and tribulation, I always kept a smile. I always smile. I kept it positive. That's what I told my sister when I was about to embark into this storm. I was like, the Most High God is gonna get me through it. And I told her that I'm gonna just stay positive to it all, which I did, But the enemy kept coming in. Every time you have a detrimental, emotion, detrimental, perceptive of life, just know that's the devil. The devil will come in, and he's gonna try to make you feel otherwise than to make you feel that you're not worthy of his grace and his glory. You're not worthy to stand. You're not strong enough. That's what the devil's going to make you. Just like he did with Job's wife. What happened to Job's wife? She started talking to Job, telling Job, hey, go ahead and curse, speak against your God. Go ahead and do this. Job did not fall for that, And that's another thing that I learned, And this path, you're going to meet people that, like, literally, they're going to be with you in a good time. Because in my worst days, since I have, because I've been through it since I moved in this country, you know, in my worst days, nobody was really there. I was crying when I was young. When I was 10 years old, 12 years old, I was going through it, but nobody didn't show up. But as soon as you start doing good, especially with the day that you get right with the Lord, I was struggling as a Christian. Once I got good with the Lord, the enemy comes in. Remember, he comes to kill, steal, and destroy, and he's gonna come in. Firstly, he's gonna come in as your quote unquote friend, but just to plot demises for you to fall. So he comes in to either trying to beat you or quote unquote, join you just to defeat you. So his tactic are really, deceptive. In those days, you know, I was, excuse the background noise, yo. Like, you know, unfortunately, just some neighbors, some people. I know, it's not the walls are not thick enough. I guess you could say. But just the important thing is the message here. Let's get to it. Um, so in my darkest days, nobody, like literally, it was just Jesus who was carrying me through. Like I remember back in 2000, I think it was 2010. I was living with this family. I remember I was going through a tough time, and I cried out to the Lord. I remember, and as I look 10 years back, 10 years in the future now, presently, I'm like, oh my, the Lord heard me 10 years ago. I remember that day I was crying out, and I cried out, I'm like, God help me, God help me. I was like, oh God, help me, and the Lord, because the Lord will bring you right back to the time that you were going through, just to show you His glorious, marvelous ways, and it's because of him, the world will try to bring you down, but greater is he that is in you than he that of this world. And this world is not here it's not to help you out. I mean, there's few that are gonna help you out. Your fellow Christian are gonna help you. I'm talking about true, those are truly in this walk, because the many will, they're gonna confess to be Christian, but they're not really, because it's so deadly to be unequally yoked. I learned that, so that's just, it's so crucial. It is very crucial to be equally yoked with other people. With your spouse. If you're unequally yoked, the enemy will come in. Just like for Job, it showed up that he wasn't he was not equally yoked. I mean, like, in a way, because if he was truly equally yoked, I know Job did not know, but it comes when things fall, when things go south. That's when you truly know who's with you. In a tough time, you really know who's with you. Like, tough time shows people. Tough time reveal people for who they are. And some people, what they do, when you go to the top time, they're gonna bail out on you. They're gonna literally bounce. And when things get better, they get back into your life. Some people, what they do, they come in after the storm and they're trying to put you back into the storm. So they're literally trying to bring up your past, trying to bring up the bad time of your life. They're trying to do anything to dig the past so they can get you back into that situation. And that just shows you how what's it called? How deadly it is to be unequally yoked with people, with friends, where sometimes it may be a family member that will be unequally yoked with you. When it's unequally yoked, that means that one person has the potential to be taken, like Job's wife. Job's wife was possessed by Satan for a time, as she spoke to Job, like who was speaking to his wife, because she was speaking, telling Job to curse his God. That was the devil right in it, because anything that's not with God is against God. So that was the spirit of, because Satan was moving around Job's life all this time doing distracted work. So for me, I have looked at it. I'm like, man, I come a long way. And I look back in high school, way before then, and I'm like, it all happened for a reason, because remember, He is in control of it all. He is in control. God will not let His own perish. Like I've been a faithful servant, and though I stumble and fall, but I still had the Lord in my heart. I had my time like Peter did. Peter had his time where he what is it called? He frayed away from standing up for Christ, but in his heart he was still passionate. He still heard unto God, to the Most High. That's why he cried. That's why he felt the conviction. That's why he ran and started crying. He started bawling, because he really had a love. Because to really love somebody, you're gonna be, you know, it's gonna break you in a point. When you do something wrong to them, you're gonna feel affected because you're doing them wrong, because that love is there. So um so for me, during that time, I was like, man, yo, I know I have came across some people, I just, I'm like, I thank the Lord that I have, came across. You're gonna meet people. Some people are meant to be in your life, and some people are not. They just come to pass. They come in and they leave. Because they'll come in as a lesson. Some people that come to stay. Some people come in as a lesson for you to know, to wise up, to become a better you, to just to so that you don't fall into that same type of choice. Like it's like dating. That's why we have dating. We don't just have you don't just get married with somebody just right away. That's why you start dating them first and get to know them. For friendship, you get to, you hang out with them a little bit. And then, if things don't, if they're not really for you, you may be, you may meet them for first time. That's why we have a quick, what's it called, a quick conversation with people. If you like the quick conversation, then you're like, hey, let's kick it next week. And if next week don't go well, you're like, you know what, it was nice meeting you, but and then move on. But it's just all part of my journey here. I have met a lot of people. Circle got smaller. I think the love, because it's better to be rolling with the realest, like with two real people, than the real with fake, 100 fake people, that are not really with you, because it's so destructive. It's a burden to be rolling with the like fake 100 people and not knowing that they're not with you, because when things go south, it's like it's gonna be disastrous. So I learned it's not really about the amount of people that you surround yourself with. It's about the quality. It's about the people that you surround. It's not about quantity. It's about quality here. So because there's gonna be people they're gonna come in, and it's deceptive. The enemy is so deceptive in his way. Sometimes it may be your closest family member. Sometimes it may be your co-workers. Sometimes it may be your so-called church friends, your friends from church. It's the enemy. He's so deceptive. Sometimes it may be that pretty young women. It may be that, for women, it may be that, whatever you used to look into, you should find attractive, as women do, look at guys, but the enemy, he's a liar. Satan is a liar. He's gonna do anything to get you to deceive and fall into his trap. So for me, for guys, we find that usually it's gonna be to a woman. If you're a single man, you're gonna come across some, you could call him the most prettiest girl you never seen, but I'm telling you, what's inside, you don't want to know. You never know what these girls be doing out here too. Some of these girls are like they're dark inside to a point they have done a lot of dark things. To get to, they don't have heart in them. Cause I remember when I was trying to date back in middle school and in high school, some of these girls I used to meet, they never like they weren't feeling me. Like I'll try, I'll go all the way out, but then they won't show. They won't show that they'll start like quote unquote like they'll show a little, but then they'll back up. They'll play so hard for me. I never understand because who I was dealing with, it wasn't who like the whatever you call it, the exterior wasn't really. It's not really that much. The appearance is not that much. That's how I speak about maturity. It's so important to date a mature young woman. It's not only maturity too. It's about the holiness of a person. Because anybody can come in as that too. They can come in acting mature. They're gonna be like, oh, I'm mature, this and that. But who are they really? Who are they really? Because what does it profit a man to gain the whole wide world and lose his soul? What would it profit you to have sex, just to get to get a feeling of sex, then afterward feel drained out, feel, have a wife who's gonna nag you out all your life, who's gonna cause you to, flip out every second. Because there's some women's out here that's their job. They're assigned to make your life miserable. So long you pursuing Christ, they're gonna be doing everything to cause you to stumble. They're gonna cause you they're gonna tempt you. They're gonna do all this so you're not in the righteousness of the Most High at all time, as you should be. But they'll try everything. That's what I think in the book of Proverbs it talks about something about a nagging wife. A wife who's constantly nagging you is worse than anything, because you could it's so worse that to a point you gotta go and sleep on a rooftop. I think it was a verse that it talks about, because it is like that. You don't know who you're getting the package. It don't be deceived by the exterior design of the package, because what's inside you don't know what you're dealing with. You know, and that's just part of the this journey. I have met a lot of people, so-called friends. Uh, and I have met some people in high school, women's, that are trying to fall in love with, and I noticed they weren't feeling, and I noticed they were, by that I mean like they came into trying to break my heart, like I met a girl one time, I was literally so devoted to her, I was like, man, as a man will do, trying to get a woman, I tried this and that, and she showed quote unquote interest in me, she was quote unquote nice, but but and suddenly like 2 years, a year and a half in, she throws the towel in, and she like literally switched up on me. You know what I mean? Like, how much that will hurt a person. It can have an effect on a person. It's like, but this girls, that's what they are. Their job is to break you apart. Emotionally, because to somebody to have their heart broken, it's something big. To be heartbroken, it is something big. It is a damage that's in this inside. It's not like having somebody saying something mean to you. If a stranger tell you something mean, you may get over it. But if something that somebody who's closer to, the closer a person is to you, the more access they have to you. So if they do anything, it's going to affect you. That's why it's so important to be equally yoked with people, because if you're now equally yoked with them, because they're closer to you, they can affect you. That's why the Word of God says a male, a man and a woman, when they come together, when they marry, they become one. So that's the tightest it will ever get. And if you ever get to that level, I'm telling you, if that woman is not equally yoked to you, it's gonna be a miserable thing. That's why this folks they want too. If you are, when the enemy sends some people to your life, as me as a man, you know, what I have find their goal is to get you to marry, you know. Their goal is to get you to marry. It's always about marry, marry, marry. Because once you marry, then you automatically become attached to them. See how it works. And any marriage, it is something. It is a whole. It's some big, but it's something that's biblical. But the enemy, he knows the Bible too. He knows the word, so he knows that when men and women come together, they become one. So that's why he will use it against. That's why he came to tempt Jesus. And I always tell people that, like, hey, the devil, he can do anything. He can use the word on you, but he can't go to an extent. He always will pervert. So this is how he's gonna use the Bible. He knows that if he can get on a holy person who's gonna quote unquote be like righteousness. It's in the churches. It's happening. People in churches, they think that spouse is for them. Oh, she's for me, and they marry them, and then later on they find out they're not really who they used to show up to be. And then automatically this person is not, they won't. I remember they don't show up to church. They don't show up to church as much as to show. They start doing all these things, that you wouldn't, that you never knew. You like, okay, later on you're like, let me go and file a divorce. Soon when you marry a person, you attach to them until the day, death do you apart. So you go ahead. If you marry another woman, you're literally cheating. So there's people that know what they're doing. They literally know what they're doing. They really push the agenda of marriage on people so much. I'm talking about this witches out here. There's witches out here. They'll be in churches. They will be in churches. But if you ever meet a person who pushes you to marry them, you have to be careful. Anything that's pushed upon you is not. It is up. It have. Yeah. Most likely there's something behind it that's corrupted. That's not righteous. They're gonna tell you, oh, you're gonna meet them. They're gonna make it so easy for you to fall in love with them. That's another red flag right there. Because they're all in a mission. So their mission, that's why they want to make it so easy for you to fall in love with them. You meet a pretty young woman, as a man, as we should be working for, we should go in and show the effort. But if you meet a woman who trying to make it so easy for you to fall in love with her, you need to be careful. You meet her, she's so nice. She seemed to be so nice. She tell you this and that, and she start doing all this thing, trying to set a way for you to, to set a vow to her. She does all this thing. You need to slow down. You're like, hey, hold up, this woman, she's doing most, the effort when I should be doing most of the effort here. Because as a man, you ought to be the one who's supposed to be working for that. So if the woman is the one who comes in and she's doing the most, you need to be careful. She may be sent, to get you to fall down. She may be that snake, like the snake in the Garden of Eden, because that snake was really persuasive in his ways. Remember, that's what this woman will do. If you suddenly, you meet a person and they try everything. And these people, another thing they'll do, they're gonna try. If you meet a person who's so like they're so like compatible with you. If they're so compatible, by compatible I mean they literally they'll talk everything that will match with your life. Like they'll literally, oh, you know what, this, if the, I'm telling you, most likely there's people that are doing something, because there's people that are working with something. If somebody tells you things that's compatible to your life so much, you need to, I know it's one thing to find things in common with other people. Then there's another thing to have things so in common to your personal level. Like, your past, 10 years ago, something happened 20 years ago, and somebody you just met like a week ago, they start talking about things that hits that time. Like, it goes back to that time. You're like, you need to be. And every time you talk to them, if they're continually trying to find something in common with you, you need to be, because when you meet a person, you ought to be learning about them. You ought to be learning about them, and then they ought to ask you a question. Hey, so where you from? This, if they don't ask you a question, they come to you with like answer question already, like they come to you with things that's already in common with you, like they talk to you and they're like, oh, you went to Paris before. They're like, oh, I've been to Paris before. And then you've been to this nice hotel before. I've been to that. They're literally throwing object to you that's already fun, that's connecting. You need to be careful. You need to be careful. Because here you are, you never talked about you, ever been in this place, but they're coming at you. It is all part of the work of the devil, it's crazy out here. As I have moved to the the western part of the world, I learned people so love with their money, they're love with their covenant with their things. That loyalty is rare because man has loved their things. Folks are out here. I mean, look at it. We hear news about people, children attacking their own parents over some things. I remember years ago, a kid shot his parent over a game system. He shot his parent. It shows you how people are so in love with their things. They'll do distracted work just for that. They'll betray. There's a lot of Judas in this society, a lot of Judas. I know this is not the whole video, the point of the whole this whole message here, but it's just to tell you guys that we are in a place. It's loyalty is rare, and then there's a lot of snakes, very much snakes out here. In this nation, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of what's it called, occultic. It's so much occultic in this society. I come from Africa. I know that we have our own problem back there, but Africa is not. It's not occultic. And you go to Africa, it's culture. We have culture. Africa, you go to Africa, you learn about the culture. You know about the culture, but we're not occultic. It is where things are under the carpet. You may be living from your enemy might be right next door to you, down next, like, but they're gonna act like they're not your enemy. That's how it is in Africa. You know who you hanging with around, and people. And we're open in Africa. In Africa, we're open. I learned things that people don't learn here. I knew about the enemy when I was a child. That's how That's the early you get your wisdom early at age. We don't keep things under cover. In this society, it's to blind everybody else. Few people they're trying to keep you bounded while they know what's going around. That's what I have learned. There's a lot of witchcraft. You never know who you may be, by somebody who has you bonded to something or work. Your coworker may have you bounded to. You go to work, you don't do well. You always get yelled by your manager. Somebody at your work may have you on something. That's how real it is, and they may appear to be your friend, but they're literally behind your what's it called, your miserable life, your experiences that you were going through, miserable life experience. That's how it is. That's why I call it a cultive society, because we have things hidden. Like, you never know who's your enemy, because it's literally under the carpet. Because it's literally under the carpet. Because under the carpet, things are in the dark. There you go. Things are literally in the dark. We live in the dark world. It's not only this society, it's the whole, as the world as we live in, and it is dark, but some places are just more convenient in a way. They're more convenient. Like, I mean, you go to one place, it's just like the other place. It's like, okay, it's all one. That's why it is a blessing too. I know Africa, it is a nation, you know, but we have different countries in it. I think that's just a blessing. I think that's the blessing, because if we were all one, I mean, we're all one. We Africa, it is one, but I like how it is set up though, because every place you go, they have their own way, so we don't have to confirm with the other side, because out here it's not like that. You may go to Texas, but Texas is just like other places. You may go to, it's like there's a linkage there. It's like a linkage that, it's like, it is like, biblically we know that in the end days, one will be picked up and one will be left. And then we know that in the word of the Most High, it talks about how at the last days, parents, a daughter will go against his mother, or a daughter will go against her mother. Son will go against his dad. It's like a family will go against. So there's gonna be one who's righteous and one who's gonna be corrupted. So Not out here. Out here is like, it is like a oneness. It's dangerous, you know, to be what's it called? It's the oneness is not righteously. If it's not righteously, it is better to have two people that are righteous than to have a whole place of, like, but we do have, we have people that are righteous out here. There's righteous all around the world. There's corrupt. You're gonna find corruption and you're gonna find righteousness all across the world. But it's just another thing to have things hidden under the carpet. You never know. There's people out here that are literally being stirred by somebody who's just right across, and sometimes it's their own family that are literally doing things in their life. It just shows you how you could be blind for a whole life just to find out in the last minute the reason why you lived so miserable. It was because whatever your close by person, friends, they hated you and they did something upon you. You know, it's crazy, man. It's so crazy. This is all my experience. It's my this is it has been such a journey. It's such a journey. I just thank the Lord. I thank the Lord Jesus Christ. To bring me to this point. Coming from another continent, it's like it teaches you. I have come a long, long way, and I know I have a long way to go. But oh boy, who would ever knew that things are like this? Things are like this. It's like, it is literally like this. You know, I know the world ain't perfect, but I'm just telling you, some places are more darker than other. That's 100. And another thing, some people they never let their always go. They never let the always go. They keep the always and think they can do right. They think they can do right by still holding to the old past ways. Like that don't happen. It can't happen. It can't happen. You can't do that. It's like mixing oil and water. Some people out here they're trying to mix oil in water. You can't do that. You cannot mix oil and water. It will always disperse. It will always what's it called? It will always separate at the end of the day. That's the same thing too. You cannot go to heaven halfway. There's nobody who makes it to heaven halfway. Can be like, oh, I went to heaven. I almost made it to heaven. Oh, like, you think you can make half of you will go to heaven and half of you will go to hell? You can't. No, 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 no. Your whole body will go one place, and it's all about how you live on this earth. But you know, this is what it is. As I said, there was a time I saw myself, my back on the wall, but I was leaning on Christ. I knew He was going to get me through. I saw myself as a soldier, and the war was throwing all this thing. The war was hitting me. The war was shooting at me. It was doing. I was still standing. And the Lord indeed got me to it. I sound like the Lord will make a door for me. He did. And then I reminded of a quote by Rocky, Balboa, the movie. I don't watch a lot of,